Hi everyone, welcome back to Everyday English Hub, your go-to spot for relaxing and learning English. As always, I'm here with the brilliant Mia. How's everything going, Mia?
I'm doing great, Leo. But tell me, why do you always introduce me like I'm your boss?
Well, you do have that boss energy. But let's focus on today's episode.
Alright. But first, why are you grinning like that?
Oh, I just remembered how you often call me childish.
Because you are. You laugh at your own jokes. Leo.
Well, being a little childish isn't so bad. Did you know there's an actual method for learning languages called learning like a baby?
That's true. Babies learn naturally by listening, imitating, and interacting with their surroundings.
Exactly. Babies are remarkable learners. But here's a thought. Can we use this method to learn English as adults?
That's a fantastic question, Leo. Today, we'll explore whether this natural method of learning can truly enhance our English skills.
And for all our listeners, we've got practical tips and examples lined up just for you. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the question. Can we really learn English like a baby? Mia, let's break this down. What does it mean to learn English like a baby?
It means adopting a natural learning style, much like how babies acquire their first language through listening, mimicking, and engaging.
That makes perfect sense. Babies don't sit down with grammar books or vocabulary lists, right?
Exactly. They absorb language by hearing it repeatedly in everyday contexts. For instance, they hear mama and dada countless times before they start speaking those words themselves.
Right. They learn by associating words with actions, objects, or feelings. I read a study from MIT that says babies spend up to 60% of their waking hours just listening to sounds around them.
That's fascinating. It underscores how crucial listening is in language acquisition. And for English learners, listening is the essential first step as well.
Absolutely. You can listen to podcasts, watch simple videos, or even just overhear daily conversations. The key is to expose yourself to the language as much as possible.
Indeed. Another thing babies do is mimic the sounds and words they hear.
Yes, they don't worry about saying things perfectly, they just give it a shot. Over time, their pronunciation naturally gets better.
There's a cool technique called shadowing that learners can use for this.
Oh, I've heard about that. It's when you repeat what you hear right after a native speaker. Almost like an echo.
Exactly. Shadowing helps you improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and even boosts your confidence in speaking.
That's such a baby-like way of learning. Just repeat. Repeat. Repeat.
Definitely. Babies also rely heavily on context to grasp the meanings of words.
Right. For instance, when someone points to a ball and says, ball, the baby connects the sound with the object.
Learners can follow suit. Try to infer the meaning of new words from the context instead of translating everything.
Yes, like when you watch a show and someone says, I'm starving, while clutching their stomach, you know they're hungry.
Context makes learning feel much more organic.
Exactly. And when you learn naturally, it's less stressful and far more enjoyable.
Another great way to utilize shadowing is with audiobooks or podcasts. For instance, listen to a short sentence, pause, and then repeat it out loud, imitating the tone and rhythm.
That's an excellent idea. If you're feeling nervous, start with simple sentences like, how are you? Or, I'm fine. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget about songs. Singing along to English songs is a fun way to practice shadowing.
Absolutely. Try singing the chorus of your favorite song. It's great for improving pronunciation and rhythm.
Another helpful trick is to watch videos with English subtitles. Listen to how the words are pronounced and repeat them right after the speaker.
This helps you connect the written word with its sound and meaning. Plus, you can practice at your own pace by pausing and replaying whenever you need to.
Shadowing doesn't just sharpen your pronunciation, it also builds confidence. When you hear yourself speaking like a native, it's incredibly motivating.
And don't forget, repetition is key. The more you repeat, the better you'll get.
That holds true for both babies and adults. Speaking of shadowing, there are some fantastic YouTube channels that can assist you with this method. If you'd like us to recommend specific channels for shadowing, Just let us know in the comments.
We'd be more than happy to share our favorite resources and help you kickstart your shadowing journey.
Now, let's highlight 5 helpful phrases from today's discussion.
The first one is breakdown, which means to explain something step by step or in simple terms. For example, let me break down the process so it's easier to understand.
Next, we have pick up, meaning to learn something new, often by observing or practicing. Example, you can pick up a lot of new words just by watching movies.
The third phrase is mimic, which means to copy the way someone speaks or behaves. For instance, children often mimic the way their parents talk.
Then there's figure out, which means to understand or find the answer to something by thinking or observing. Example, you can figure out the meaning of a word by looking at how it's used in a sentence.
Finally, we have repetition, which means doing something over and over to improve. Example, repetition is key to mastering pronunciation in English.
Now let's move on to some questions to help you grasp today's topic. Question 1. How can shadowing help improve your English?
Shadowing trains your ear to recognize native-like pronunciation and boosts speaking confidence.
Question 2. Why is repetition important in language learning?
Repetition helps you remember new words and phrases, making them easier to use in conversation.
What about you? Which method do you think works best for learning English?
Let us know in the comments below. Now let's take a moment to address something that holds many learners back, the fear of making mistakes.
That fear is incredibly common, but it's also one of the biggest obstacles to progress.
I completely agree. Many learners avoid speaking because they fear sounding silly or being judged.
Yes, that fear can lead to avoidance, which is a missed opportunity for improvement.
A specific example of this is pronunciation. Many learners hesitate to say words because they're unsure if they're pronouncing them correctly.
Right, and the thing is, native speakers usually don't care about perfect pronunciation. What they care about is understanding you and connecting with you.
Exactly. Instead of stressing over saying a word perfectly, focus on getting your message across.
A great way to overcome this fear is to practice speaking with supportive people.
Like friends, language partners, or even joining a speaking club. Another example is writing. Some learners avoid writing because they fear making grammar mistakes.
And guess what? Writing helps you notice patterns in the language and allows you to improve faster.
I came across a study from Cambridge University that found learners who embrace their mistakes tend to retain information better. It's because mistakes provide an opportunity to fix and remember things more deeply.
Let's not forget, every mistake you make is proof that you're trying. And trying is how you improve. Think of it this way, when babies learn to walk, they fall down hundreds of times.
But they don't give up, they just get back up and try again. Don't be afraid to stumble while learning English. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake?
And celebrate the fact that you're learning something new.
Another fantastic trait of babies is their love for repetition.
Right, they'll say the same word or phrase over and over until it sticks in their minds.
And repetition works for adults too. For example, practice saying "How are you?" and "I'm fine. Thank you" until it feels natural.
You can also integrate repetition with shadowing.
Like we mentioned earlier, try repeating after podcasts, audiobooks, or even songs.
Did you know that repetition also strengthens your brain?
That's true. Neuroscience research shows that repeating actions or words creates stronger neural connections, making it easier to remember. Another tip is immersion. Surround yourself with English through your daily activities.
For instance, set your phone or computer language to English.
Or join online communities where communication is solely in English. Immersion helps you think directly in English instead of translating from your native language.
Here's another fun fact. Children learn faster when they feel relaxed and happy.
That's why making learning enjoyable is so important for adults too.
Yes, try watching comedy shows or listening to funny podcasts. It makes the process so much more enjoyable.
The more fun you have, the more likely you are to stick with it. Remember, learning English like a baby isn't just a technique, it's a mindset.
So, take small steps, enjoy the journey, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you have tips or questions about learning English, let us know in the comments below. Mia, let's highlight 5 useful phrases from today's discussion. First, overcome fear, which means to successfully deal with or control your fear. Example: practicing with a friend can help you overcome your fear of speaking English.
Second, get your message across, meaning to make people understand what you're trying to say. Example: even if your grammar isn't perfect, focus on getting your message across.
Third, embrace mistakes, which means to accept your mistakes as part of the learning process. Example: when you embrace mistakes, you learn faster and feel more confident.
Fourth, supportive environment, referring to a place or group of people that encourages and helps you. Example: joining a supportive environment like a language club can make learning more enjoyable.
Lastly, take it one step at a time, meaning to focus on doing one small thing at a time instead of trying to do everything at once. Example: if you feel overwhelmed by learning English, take it one step at a time. Now, let's dive into some questions for our listeners. Question 1. How can embracing mistakes help you in learning English?
That's a good question.
Well, I think it's because mistakes show us what we need to work on. And honestly, not fearing them makes learning fun.
Definitely. Plus, every mistake you make is an opportunity to improve.
Question 2. What's one small step you can take today to enhance your English skills?
For me, it's practicing one sentence out loud every day.
That's a solid choice. I think listening to a short podcast or song could be another easy step. And what about our listeners? What's your small step for today?
Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your ideas.
Alright, that wraps up today's episode of Everyday English Hub.
We hope you're excited to try learning English like a baby, listening, mimicking, and embracing mistakes.
Remember, babies don't fret about getting everything perfect, they just try. And that's what helps them grow.
If you're ready to start shadowing or want tips for creating your own English environment, don't hesitate to reach out in the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of Everyday English Hub.
Keep learning, stay curious, and remember, learning like a baby is the most natural way to grow.